Hey, this is Mike. Welcome to Shelf Life, the monthly series where I look at games I covered about half a year ago and let you know whether they're still in my collection. And for this month, we're looking back at December of last year. Lots of good and maybe not so good games in here, but which of them had shelf life? So we're starting out with kind of a 1-2 punch right at the top. Dune, Imperium, and Lost Ruins of Arnak. And I'm combining these because they have a lot of similarities and they were talked about a lot at the same time. Both worker placement, both have deck building, both have solo, and both are gone from my collection because I didn't love either one, especially for solo play. Looking at Dune Imperium, at least for my own taste, I found the deck building very lacking and kind of dull. I didn't really like how they treated the theme or the type of game they tried to create with it. And the AI felt random to me in a frustrating way. As for Lost Ruins of Arnak, I thought the deck building was pretty strong there, and there's a lot of fun combo potential in your actions. But the solo play out of the box was way too easy. Now, they've fixed that with some optional add-ons you can print out, and those work well. But I had already culled it before those materials were available. That being said, even though I kept neither of them, I would more strongly recommend Arnak for solo. I just really didn't like Dune for that. But in competitive play, Arnak was a bit too multiplayer solitaire, at least for me, so I definitely preferred Dune in that play mode. Next up is BattleCON, the competitive fighting game. And yes, I definitely kept BattleCON. I've actually bought more content for it. This is one of these smaller standalone boxes. And I've liked level 99 fighting games for a while. I actually had a lot of these back in the day and sold them because I couldn't get enough competitive players. But now, number one, my 8-year-old really enjoys BattleCON and Exceed, so I get to play him pretty frequently. And on top of that, I designed an unofficial solo mode for each, and I'm still adding more characters to those. So I'm definitely in for these ones. I think the solo turned out pretty well. I'm going to be fighting with these for a while, I think. Our number 4 game is Warp's Edge, the solo-only bag builder of space combat. And this is another one I'm definitely keeping. This was one of my top games of last year. I really enjoy how quick this one is to play, how varied it is with the different bosses and ships. I love bag building and deck building as mechanics, and this one does it really well in that you're not only building out your bag for combos and cooler attacks, but it also builds up your endurance as you try to last longer through wave after wave of enemy fighter attacks. It's just a lot of fun, really a great experience. Next is Alter Quest, the solo and cooperative dungeon crawler game from Blacklist. So I just recently called all my original stuff for Sentinels of the Multiverse. I got rid of Street Masters after a while, and Alter Quest is gone too. And that doesn't mean I don't like modularity. I actually did back the new Sentinels of the Multiverse Kickstarter. But for my personal taste, I wanted to feel manageable and easy to play, and all of those kind of got too big for my own taste. I am still getting Hour of Need, and I'm hopeful that that'll be kind of the smaller Sadler Brothers modular game that I really want. But I guess Alter Quest is also another indicator of my kind of dwindling interest in dungeon crawlers in general. I tend to be gravitating more towards adventure games and not as much kind of like the repetitive tactical nature of moving around dungeon tiles. Next is Isle of Cats, the solo and competitive polyomino placement game. And look, it's over here, it's just under a lot of big boxes, so trust me, I'm keeping it. Isle of Cats is another one where my son's enjoyment and my family's enjoyment is a big factor in me keeping it. I think the solo is pretty fun and has nice variety in the goals you have to achieve, so you have to kind of change up your strategy each game. But it's also wonderful that the game has a very family-friendly mode, as well as a more intense competitive mode. Lots of ways to get into this one, and the basic polyomino placement is always fun as well. Next is the first Kickstarter game out of 2 for this month, Core Worlds Empires, a competitive and solo worker placement game. Now, I love the original Core Worlds. It's a great competitive deck builder, and I covered the solo mode that was in a recent Kickstarter for that one. It'll be on shelf life a bit later. But Core Worlds Empires, as I mentioned, is a worker placement game, and one that I thought really seemed at its best for competitive play. You've got this huge space map you're trying to deal with, but worker placement on the whole tends to be one of the Euro mechanics I'm least interested in. And again, with this game seeming to concentrate more on competitive play, I passed on the Kickstarter. Moving on, we get to our second Kickstarter, Doom Machine, a solo micro game of dice placement. And this is another one I passed on, not because there's anything wrong with the game, but I'm personally not into micro games, except for something like Sprawlopolis, which really expands in an epic way beyond its 18-card origins. Most micro games just don't really have a place in my gaming diet. I tend to do like bigger gaming nights. I don't just throw down a game and play it for like 15 minutes wherever I am, so that could change at some point. Doom Machine is great for what it's trying to do, but it's not something I'm too interested in. And finally, we get to the adventure games, Volcanic Island, the third game in the series, mixing a bit of choose-your-own-adventure and point-and-click adventure game aesthetics. And oof, this one was called quickly. This is my lowest recommendation out of the 9 games discussed today. I really enjoyed the first 2 games in the adventure game series, especially the dungeon one. That was a lot of fun. But for this one, it seemed like the translation and localization wasn't done as well. It wasn't as compelling of a setting and a story. It kind of railroaded you and had like broken parts where you could get stuck. I did not have a very good experience with this one at all. I don't think it was quite enough yet to make me quit the series as a whole. I'll still probably check out the 4th one if they do one. But this was definitely not a good look compared to the first 2 games. Alright, 9 games, only 3 kept a 1/3 ratio. And I guess I'm getting maybe a bit predictable because check out the contest results in just a moment. Man, a lot of people totally read what I was thinking for these games. But thanks for watching, everybody. Hang on for the contest results, and I'll see you at the next episode of Shelf Life. Alright, and let's get to the contest. First, just to go over the results, we had over 150 people enter, and 70% of them thought I would keep Warp's Edge. Good job, y'all. 67% thought I would keep Isle of Cats. I've got these ordered in terms of the voting percentages. Arnak and Dune, which I did not keep, were a little bit above and below 50%. BattleCON was the biggest surprise to people. The lowest vote getter, only 39% of people thought I would keep it, out of the ones that I actually did end up keeping. Whereas I guess Arnak was the biggest surprise in terms of me culling it. And then the lowest ones, Core Worlds, only 1/3 of you voted I would keep. Doom Machine, only 1/5 of you. And the adventure game Volcano Island one. A lot of you were not surprised by me getting rid of that one. But let's get to our actual selection. And man, we had a lot of people who figured out what I was thinking this time. Maybe the highest ever. We had, let's see, 2, 4, 8, 11 people perfectly guessed what I would be culling and keeping. This is a 9 out of 9 for all of them. Now, to explain the color coding here a bit, Jan, Mike's biggest fan, I'm not sure who that is, and Hannah, the 3 of them chose not to be entered in the contest, but amazing job anyway, you got it all exactly right. And then Patrick and Carl, by the way, check out Carl's channel, Purple Moose Plays. He has really great videos as well. They are not Patreon supporters, but most of the people that got it all right are Patreon supporters. Howard, Matt, Jack, Joe, Charles, and Daniel. So they get a second entry. That's one of the benefits of being a Patreon supporter. They have double the chance. So I'm going to roll a 1d4 to choose the column, and then a 1d4 to choose the row. Here we go. The first one, a 4. That means we're just in Patreon land, Jack, Joe, or Matt. And our second roll, a 1. So Jack Rudder, congratulations, Jack. You are our Shelf Life winner for this month. But again, amazing job, all of you, and thanks to all of the 150 of you who entered the contest. Jack, I'll be emailing you soon to find out which of my games you'd like me to send to you. And everybody else, we'll see you for more Shelf Life next month. Good gaming, everybody.